Good morning, YouTube. This is the Weekend Hooker speaking. Today we got another unboxing. This time, went on to shopcarls.com. Not sponsored, same as shop.com. But I tell you what, they're also a spot that I get most of my premium baits. You can get Guggen Squad stuff there, you can get Zoom stuff there, you can get Strike King stuff there. And today, we got a jig that I am thoroughly in love with at this point. Let's get her open. Get our trusty old knife out. Go in. Bust that one open. Cut down the seam. Pop, pop. Make sure to close it. I've cut myself before doing that. Get her open. They got it wrapped with, instead of bubble wrap, cardboard. Don't need that. Here we go. This is the new Trashmaster from Gamechanger Lures. I am in love with this bait. I will post a video out on the river and show you just how versatile these are. I'll throw some pictures up at some point. This thing has done the absolute best out of most of the jigs that I use. It is a 1/2 ounce. I can't really... Camera, why are we not focusing? Why are we not focusing? Well, okay, well, it's a 1/2 ounce jig. It's got a heavy, heavy mini skirt, according to the package. I'm still new into this description stuff, so I'm not going to be the greatest. But, ow, I got stabbed when I went to reach down and pick up the case I dropped. As usual on this channel, we're going to find these hooks are sharp. And I tell you what, that thing near went through me just touching me. But here we go. This jig right here. It's a 1/2 ounce. And I believe I got it in the Falcon Craw. AKA, it's almost like a watermelon red flake. Right through there. It's so shiny. I'm going to turn on my lights real quick. Give me a second. Get some more light on the subject here. Apologize for that. Let's get some more light on the subject. This jig right here is phenomenal. And there are several reasons why. One thing I like is the shape of this jig head. I love the shape of it. It contours backward. So when it's hitting rocks and stuff as it's hitting the bottom, it's deflecting most of that damage. I have a lot of jigs in my tackle box that will do that. They'll hit a rock or something and they'll get stuck in it, or they'll bust up. Now, I will say that this does that too at the river. There are lots of rocks we have to deal with, so this will be damaged up. But even with it damaged, it still produces good bites. My biggest fish of my life recently, and I'm dang sure going to try and see if I can edit a video to where I can put the picture in, was 47 inches. I really, really wish I'd have got it on camera. Maybe with this, once again, because this is what I caught it on. Maybe with this, we can bust another. And don't worry. If I have some missing, we got a bunch. I bought 10 of these. I love jigs. Jigs are like my favorite bait. You can do nearly anything with a jig. You can run it fast, or you're skipping that thing along, making it with a swim bait or even a craw. Because craw tend to, when they're running from their live, or when they're swimming for their lives, they'll zoom on by. Sometimes fish will react to that. They'll come out and strike it real quick. Or you can slow fall it. Let it drop and yo-yo it in. Bounce, bounce, bounce. These baits are typically my favorite of all time because you can just do so much with them. Throw a crawl on the end of it, throw a swim bait on the end of it, especially this one, because And one of the things I love about it, it has a twister bait retainer. I love the spring retainers because you can just twist the end of that front end of that bait in, or back end of that bait in, and then feed it onto the hook, and it sits pretty level. I'm not gonna lie, it's not identical, like it's not a 50-50 shot whether it lines up or not. It will have a slight upward angle. I'm actually not upset with that because, like I said, it still is producing. Me and my brother went out fishing. I'm hoping to have him on the channel here soon. And he managed to bust a 5-pound bass out of the river on a jig. There you have it. The bass you see up on this wall, right over here, right here. I can point at it. It's kind of hard to do this when the camera's in reverse, which is really weird. Anyway, I'll just turn around. That bass right there was caught on a jig. That's how you know you did it right. With this, that hook right there is sharp enough to go through bone. That's all that need be said. Now you may be thinking, Mr. Hooker, I'm sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face doing that. Tyler, what'd you catch it on? Well, you may be asking yourselves, Tyler, how much did you spend on these? I'm glad you asked. Or if you were thinking about it, glad you were thinking about it. A lot of jigs with this kind of quality would go for $7, $8. And I'm talking Guggen Squad style. No. $3 and some odd change for one of these. Are you kidding me? For the quality? I've had one of these bend out. One of them. Bend out. Bent it back and still managed to bust big fish with it. It took a boulder to bend this hook. And you're telling me it's only $3? Hell yeah, I'm down with that. I'm going to get some footage fishing this on my Vendetta because actually, screw it. We're throwing this on the Victory St. Croix Daiwa Tatula combo. And we're going to see if that rod can put up a fight. Because the Vendetta Abu Garcia mixed with the Hyperspeed Lose reel at 9-to-5-to-1 gear ratio pulled in that big muskie with no issue. The first time I'd ever hear that thing at max drag pull drag. And it still produced. Let's see if this can hold up to the name. Gamechanger, the Trashmaster. I'll see you all out on the river. Toodaloo. Alright. Top off some of the things I wanted to hit on this bait. The Trashmaster. A couple things I do want to hit on are some of the pinpoint reasons of why I use this bait versus others. Now I'm a big jig fisherman. I love jigs. They're phenomenal. They are the most versatile baits I've ever used. Without a doubt, the most multi-species challenging bait as well. You can catch dang near anything on this. Crappie, big bluegill. Done it once. I still to this day do not know how a bluegill tried to eat a 4/0 hook. It happens. Walleye, bowfin, muskie, gar, bass. Love this bait. I've got a few crappie on them too. Don't get me wrong. I've got a few crappie on them. Just got to know where to throw it. But this is the one bait when everything else is challenging the hell out of me. The spinner baits, the spinner baits, the swim baits, the Texas rig, the drop shot are not working. Even the crankbaits. If the crankbait's not working, I'm throwing this. Because you can throw any kind of trailer you want on this. From Bandito Bug, from Guggen Squad to Ragecraft from Strike King to just about any soft plastic. You can even throw a Mondo worm on a jig if it's set up like this. Mind you, if it's set up like this. There are ways to rig a hook, or listen to me, rig a bait on a hook that is not like this, but is like the Guggen Squad's gridiron jig. Still doing it Texas rig style. It just looks a little funky. But there are ways to make it happen. And you're going to lose a lot more baits. Don't get me wrong, you'll lose a lot more baits. Because, excuse me, when you're rigging it, you're almost skin hooking the top. So when that fish comes in and bites the back end of that, it's just going to tear it right off. Whereas this has that hook retainer, or bait retainer. I always say hook retainer. I never understood why. That's okay. This has this bait retainer. If I show that in a better light. Come on, camera. Focus. What are you doing? Anyway, you can see it. I hope. But, that being said, because of that, I can retain my bait on here a lot longer. I've had muskie come up, little muskie, and come up and snap at it, rip my bait to shreds, and it's still on the hook. So, it does help. Secondly, the barb. And you saw at the start of this video, this thing got nearly sent into my finger by touching it. These hooks are sharp. Like, I'm barely putting any pressure on that. That's already breaking my skin. And for $3, I would expect this hook to bend out or be thin gauge wire. It's not. It's actually like forged steel. It's amazing. I love the hooks on these things. If they're strong enough to go through a gar's mouth, I know I'm doing something right. Because I caught a gar. I'm going to see if I can post that video too. I'm thinking about making a Facebook channel where I just post pictures of fish that I get off camera. That way I can, like, at least show some kind of content, especially because I'm still starting out with these cameras and still trying to get used to them. I do have moments where I forget, like, that I have a chest mount on because I finally am starting my dream job. Well, actually, my dream passion. This isn't even a job to me. This is a dream passion. Just going out and teaching people why I love to fish, what kind of baits I use, why I like these. This is a great start. A jig. The thing that started me out on my bass fishing and big fish journey was the jig. If I'm not throwing a jig, I'm not catching. There's not a single day that goes by that I haven't thrown a jig. Anyway, now back to why I love this bait. The line hole, for another thing, it's actually quite sizable. Like, I'm going to put this into perspective. This is a small steel leader. If I can get that in shot. Let me put my hand back behind it. There we go. This is a small steel leader. I could put this through this hole very easily. I can tie a Palomar knot through this hole very easily with any kind of braid that I have. I usually max out at about 80. If you go past that, I don't know if you can or not, but I'm sure you can. There's where there's a will, there's a way. The tie-ups are easy. I don't have to put another hook through and break the paint. I have so many complaints about baits that do that. They paint the top hole like they just dip the sucker in paint and forget to pop the eye hole out. And you have to take another hook or a toothpick and poke a hole in it and say, there you have it. Truth be told, it's the most annoying thing I've seen out of baits because that lets me know that the quality is not there. No, this thing is not missing any form of quality. Like, even the skirt itself is cinched together. Like, it's built into the bait. It's not wrapped around with a zip tie or And believe you and me, I've seen that. Truth be told, it's not a bad idea. I've seen rubber bands. I've seen shrink wrap. I like shrink wrap. I'm not going to lie to you. I like shrink wrap. If you shrink wrap a skirt onto a bait, it is very hard to get that shrink wrap to break. So that is also a good thing. This one looks to be... I'm going to inspect the bait for a moment because I've never actually looked at it this close. This one looks to be like there's an insert in there in the head, and they got melded together and molded in the same container. Thank you, brain, for finally coexcited. Yeah. I'm mumbling. It's okay. Another thing, this barb sticks way the hell out. Now, that can be both a good and bad thing. When that goes through a fish's face, it's supposed to help retain the hook past the barb. It does make some... Ow. It does make some releases a little more difficult because you're constantly smacking the top. Don't do that. Don't smack the top of the bait. I got a set of pliers from Guggen Squad a long time ago that have the parrot beak, which is the way I describe it because it's just a knob at the end of the hook. You can actually use that to push this hook back out very easily. Or the blue squishy hook removers that you get over, or squeezable hook removers that you can get over at Walmart. Those are really good too. Especially when coming up back here. That's one thing I like about this hook, is that big 90-degree angle right there. If you can get back there with that hook remover, it'll pop that hook out so easily. The only issue I've ever run into with this hook was if it gets caught in something that's not a fish's face, it's cloth, or in my case, a rod holster, it don't like to come back out. But yeah, those are some of the things I really like about it. Not only that, the painting quality. Let's go over the paint for a moment. So, it looks almost like it's hand painted on. And what I mean by that is they took this, instead of dipping it, they hand painted it on. I'm not sure if they did or not. I haven't done enough research on this to know that much detail. I do know this. They sprinkled the hell out of this one. They sprinkled the hell out of that one with the red flake. Whereas if I grab another one in here, that red flake is not identical. Like, none of them are identical. So it leads me to believe that each one of these is handcrafted, because they're not all the same. When you have a factory setting, a lot of the times with machines, the things are going to come out looking almost identical, if not close. Even if they're not hand painted, that still shows how much pride these guys put into this. Like, you can tell this bait was made with pride. They put their heart and souls into these baits, and it thoroughly impressed me when I first picked one of these up, because I'd been out of the game for a long time coming, and ironically enough, I was on... So the way I found these baits is actually quite interesting. I was on shopcarls.com, googensquad.com. I was looking up to get some more of the jigs from Guggen Squad. It's not the gridiron. It's the is it the gridiron? I can't actually remember off the top of my head. It looks a lot like this. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it wasn't the football jig. It was the other one. I believe it is called the gridiron jig. And I was just looking up these jigs, and I happened to be shopping on shopcarls.com because Guggen Squad was out of the particular color that I wanted, which was like natural craw. And so I jumped on Shop Carl's because sometimes if Guggen Squad's out, that doesn't mean Shop Carl's is out. Shop Carl's the price. I thought it meant half the quality. Heck no. I picked these up. I haven't put them down since. Like I said, I bought 10 of these. These things are just so amazing. And they have what is known as a totally weedless design. Unlike most baits, or most jigs, you'll have what's known as a brush guard. I both like and hate brush guards because a brush guard can be awesome or it can be horrible. I'm going to post a future video after this with another jig that I have in my tackle box and compare the two. It's going to be Guggen Squad versus Trashmaster. Let's see where that goes. I will see you out on the water. Toodaloo.